Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to Tech Tips 411 channel. My name is Jennifer Hall, and I'm super excited that you are here to learn about some ed tech tools and resources that you can use with your learners. So if you've just stumbled across this video, today is at the launch of one of my new PD series that's going to be the 10 Ideas series. So this is one of a number of PDs that I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks, with giving you 10 ideas of a way to use one particular tool. So I'm super excited that you're here. So if you've stumbled across this video and this is the first time you're here, my name is Jennifer Hall and I'm an ed tech specialist. And that means that I work with teachers and provide technology training and ways to integrate technology effectively in standards-based lessons. I work in Atlanta Public Schools and I'm super excited that you're here. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you're here live, go ahead and let me know by dropping your name in the chat and saying hi so I know you're here. And if you're watching this in the future, thanks so much. I appreciate your time. So the goal for this session is pretty straightforward. I'm going to give you 10 ideas for using Google Slides to engage your learners. So each day I'm going to be doing a different tool and we'll be giving you 10 ideas of how you can use it. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first one would be using Google Slides for collaboration and peer feedback. So Google Slides is such a powerful tool. It allows you to use the commenting feature and allowing students to work together. And so I think a lot of people forget that. They just have students create an assignment and they submit it without using the power of collaborating on it or using peer feedback. So I'm going to go here real quick and I'm going to show you guys a couple of examples. And so I'm going to be kind of hopping around and showing you some things. This is first time doing this session, so as I'm hopping and clicking, we might see some things. We're going to hope that you guys gain a few ideas. So on that note, I'm going to reshare real quick. I'm going to share one more screen so that we can make sure we see everything that I'm showing. So I'm going to say this whole screen right there. There we go. All right. Just want to make sure you could see what I could see. So if I just go to slides.new, how many of you guys knew that tip? If you just type in slides.new, I can open up one. I don't have to go to my Google Drive to create a new slide deck. And I can just start a new document. That also works for Google Docs by typing in docs.new. Same thing. All right. Thank you so much. Glad to see some folks here. I appreciate we got some APS folks tuning in live. Awesome. So I'm in my slide deck here. And what's great is that I can easily share this with someone so I can collaborate on it. So by clicking on share up here, and the lock means nobody else can see it, but if I click on share, I'm going to be able to share this with other folks. All right. The magic is happening and the internet is on the struggle bus. It's thinking. There we go. So notice, and they've changed the way the share looks. So some people that might not have shared a document lately might be like, whoa, this looks a little bit different. And it's thinking slowly. All right. I'm going to click. There we go. Oh, it's mad at me because I didn't give it a name. New demo. There we go. Now I can go in and share it. It was mad at me. That was my bad. So now I can share this with people in groups. So I can add in who I want to have access to this. So I can bring up any of my addresses that I want to share it to. I can also go up here and say anyone that has this link can access it. I can change it to anyone with the link is a viewer, anyone is a commenter, or anyone is an editor. That's pretty cool. So that means that I can share this out and get feedback. So if I'm doing a writing task, I can send this to my partner and they can only put comments. They're not going to mess up my actual project. So I can put who has access to it. In addition to this, if I go up here and I want to change one other setting up here, if I click on this extra settings, this is new. I can choose, if you're an editor, can change permissions and share. So if I make you an editor, that means you could pass it along to somebody else. But if I want to turn that off, I can. And I can also turn off the ability for viewers and commenters to download, print, and copy. So if it's really a secure document that you don't want anyone else to see, you can turn those off in the settings. So it's really easy for me to share this out with my colleagues. So if I'm doing a partner task and I see my friend Karen's on here and I want to send this to Karen and I need Karen to give me some feedback, we can easily do that. But the other powerful tool is here that if I've got and excuse this, I'm a terrible typist, ETS demo. That's my little title, and I want someone to give me feedback. Imagine this is a well-written paragraph. As an ELA teacher, I've written this wonderfully worded paragraph here, but I want some feedback. As a participant providing me feedback or a teacher, so if I'm a colleague, I'm in the class, or if I'm one of the students, I can use the commenting feature. So I can select here. I'm really not feeling your title there, that paragraph. All right. I can highlight that and I can say insert, and I can go down here and do comment. And when I click a comment, it's going to pop up with my information, and I can say that was not very clear. That was not very articulate. You might want to reword that. So you as a teacher can do that to provide feedback, but having your students do it and provide that peer feedback is very powerful. And then the other magical point is if you're using inside the G Suite, you can actually hit the plus button. Okay. And if I hit the plus button, I can actually send it to specific people. So if I wanted to make sure that that person knew it, plus start typing their name, it will tag them and they get an alert to know that that's an action item for feedback. Okay. So that's our first tip, that, people are creating stuff in Google Slides, but they don't think about using it for the feedback for their writing and for collaboration. So what do we think? So far, one good tip. So this is actually a template that I've used called 6-word story, and it's available on my website, and I'll put the link in the description. But it's a 6-word story activity where students can work on their 6-word story and then have their peer give them feedback on word choice. Okay. So the next tip that I would suggest using Google Slides for, what's amazing is that you can resize slides. I kind of think slides are like the Swiss Army knife of Google tools, because I can go in here and I can make this be any size that I want. So if I go up here, by default, it's a presentation. But if I go up here and say, let's change this by going to page setup, and I want this to not be widescreen like a presentation, but I want it to be custom in inches. I want this to be 8.5 by 11, which we know is the size of a piece of paper. And now, voila, I've got a piece of paper. All right, so I'm going to cancel that comment. So now I've got this piece of paper. So now I've got what I would normally be doodling on it in the classroom. I've got that. So now I know it's going to be the right size if I want to print it. So it's great for creating infographics and posters. So we did a bunch of different poster projects at my schools. We used Google Drawings for one, but another one that we did was a travel poster, which is really cool. So I can use infographics. I use it to do information. I did my online class etiquette. Those were all done in Google Slides. And again, the reason I love it is the fact that I can resize this, make it the size I want. So it can be landscape, it can be portrait. I can go in here and I can download anything that I want, can be downloaded after I've created it. So I could convert it to a PowerPoint if I wanted, but I could download it as a PDF, text file, JPEG, PNG, and an SVG file, which is a scale vector graphic, which means if you want to make it larger or smaller, you can use it on a number of projects. So, and if I put any hyperlinks in this document, so it's an infographic with hyperlinks, guess what? If I download it as a PDF, it's now an actionable item. I can share that PDF with my students, and it's now in the PDF format. There it is. Thank you, Julie, my friend across the pond. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys are finding this beneficial. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So that would be my second tip, would be definitely using it for infographics and online, making posters. And the benefit of that is that I can have an ongoing multiple. I can add another one. I can have multiple pages. And so now I've got a booklet. Okay. So, and people don't think of using Google Slides that way. All right. Next up is Hyperdocs. And if you're not familiar with Hyperdocs, Hyperdocs is the concept of taking all of the resources and elements that you need for an engaging lesson and packaging them in one type of format, whether it's in a Google Doc or a Google Slide Deck, or a Wakelet, which is, I'll be talking about that in a future session. But in it, you can use the templates that they have ready made, or you can make your own template, but have your whole lesson inside of a Google Slide Deck. And here's what's amazing. And so I'm going to actually go over here and show you. If you're not familiar with Slides Mania, and this was you're getting the secret sauce. This is one of my tech tips tomorrow. This is my resource that I'm sharing out tomorrow. Slides Mania, she does amazing designs. And she just released let's see, I'm hoping it's right here, Hyperdoc handbook right here, digital notebook. So already using that Hyperdoc concept inside of a Google Slide Deck, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So she's got a number of those. She's also got one that's for a weekly agenda. So you can put everything that you need for your students to have access into one weekly agenda. So that's definitely a tool or in a way you would want to use Google Slides. Okay. Next up, this one might seem like a weird one, but this is something that I do all the time with my students, because Google Slides on iPad or mobile is pretty powerful. And most people don't think to use it on their mobile device. Here's one of the main reasons I like to use it is that when I do movie making with students, and they want to have creative titles for their stuff, we use Ink to do the green screening, and we do iMovie for the editing. But unfortunately, iMovie is very strict on what you can put. You can only put titles on top of elements, and it can be a little tricky. So what we do is we use Google Slides because it's easy to do on your mobile device, and kids create those and screenshot what they've designed with the fonts they want, with the pictures they want, whatever they want, and they use it for their video backgrounds and titles. How many of you guys have thought of doing that, using Google Slides to create your video backgrounds and titles? And to do it on the fly. My kids love doing that. And I will actually use, if I'm working and I want to be able to have a particular Bitmoji, because sometimes Bitmojis don't always come up on your computer, I'll open it up on my mobile device and drop it in, because it's very easy to use that mobile version of Google Slides. And so for in our district, our first, second, and third graders now have iPads. And so that's a way for them to create content is on the mobile app. So using video backgrounds and titles, that's my tip for you there. Another way that I think is a powerful way to use Google Slides is to use it to create cartoons. So this is an example of a cartoon that I created about what I do as an ed tech specialist. So I created this cartoon because I have teachers say, well, what exactly do you do, Jen? How can you help me? And so I created it. And what's great is each slide is a panel in the cartoon. So that means when I go to print it, I can print it like a little cartoon and have 6 boxes or 8 boxes. Okay. And you just have the power of using Google Slides, drawing tools and everything in there. Okay. Next up, number 6, we're cranking through these. The goal is it's like the top 10. I'm going to age myself. For those of you that used to watch David Letterman, it was like the top 10 right here. So now we're at number 6, and they're in no particular order, but number 6 way you can use it is for interactive activities. What's great about using Google Slides is that you have the canvas, which is what you put your content on, but you have the outside of that canvas where you can add elements. So this is actually a 3 truths and a lie activity that I created. If you're familiar with the Spotlight on Strategies from Discovery Education, this is a really cool way to get your students engaged and then have it level it up from being they write 3 truths and a lie. Now I'm going to make this an interactive where I have to partner with someone and I can drag these buttons over here, which is just, I put it over on the workspace. They can drag and drop onto their partner's truth or lie. So now we've leveled up that collaboration. We've made it interactive. So what's great about Slides is that I have all of this extra canvas. I can add more content around here. So I can put instructions. I can put draggable elements. If you've got younger learners, you can put in there the vocabulary that they need to drop and drag onto the workspace. Okay. I love this. Greg says you love the video titles idea. Yeah, it's such a cool way to use Google Slides. Awesome. So, all right, we'll close over here and let's take a look at this template. So if you want to take a look at these templates, and I'm going to put the link in it's going to be available inside of the description of the video. I'll post that. But here are a couple of different templates. And I realized I was making doc templates. I made Google Drawings templates. But I realized what I really, really like about Google Slides is the ability to monitor student work. So I'm going to open this one up. This is a template you can use. So I'm going to open it up. All right, magic is happening slowly but surely. And once you say use this template, you'll get a copy of it that you can modify and share out for your learners. Come on, little internet. That's the one thing about waiting, hoping that it's going to cooperate. I'm going to refresh this one more time. There we go. Let it load. It's patience is a virtue, right? Use template. Come on, it's thinking. So you can grab any one of these, but the reason I like the template option inside of Google Slides is the fact that you can push it out and have all of your students working together. I love it. I love my friend Shelly says, genius, never thought of using that space. Exactly. You know, that's everybody's like, oh, it's only on here. No, use all of the space because that's your draggable options. All right, this is on the struggle bus for me, guys. I don't know why. We're going to let it load. We're going to let it think for a minute. But what's great is I have all of these different templates that you can grab and use. And what you do is you push this out to all of your students, and you do it and let them all have a different slide. So it's a 6-word story. Every kid would have their own slide in the Google Classroom, and you can open up one slide deck versus 30 slide decks for the class. And I think it's thinking. All right, we're gonna let it think. We're gonna let it sit over there. It might need a little me time, and it'll pop up here in a second, and we'll come back to it. All right. So here's another one that's really cool. Fill in the blank. I have a lot of teachers that tell me that their students struggle with, I've got a PDF activity. It's a great activity and I want to send it out, but they struggle with like Cami or like other tools to like annotate on top of the PDF. So I'm going to show you something magical. Karen says, you love the templates. Yeah. Make a template and duplicate it and share it out so that students have access to it. Yeah. Start creating. I've been making some templates and I'll keep adding to my list. So this one right here is pretty cool. So this actually is, I found this PDF on William Shakespeare. I'm showing my love for Shakespeare. As a former ELA teacher, I couldn't help myself. So how many of you guys have probably most of your assignments that you would do as interactive activities that you would print out for your kids to write on? But now you've got to do it digitally. So you got to be creative. So what you can do is you can actually take the PDF and you can use a tool like a website called PDF to JPEG. And this is loading super slow. I apologize, guys. I didn't have internet this morning for a while. I was on my hotspot. Apparently there's internet struggle bus in my neighborhood. So we're struggling together. So bear with me. All right. So what this is actually an image. So you can find a PDF and then you can convert it at a site called, and I'll put the link in the description. It's called PDF to JPEG. So you have all those PDFs that you locally have on your computer and you're like, oh man, I want the kids to be able to write on them, but I don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can upload them as an image to your background on a slide. So when you create a new slide, I'm going to actually go ahead and give me a new slide. All right. This is a blank slide right here. When you right click on it, you can say, I want to change my background. If I choose an image, I can upload whatever I want that to be. So it can be text. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let's go here. I'm just going to find let's see here, Shakespeare worksheet. You notice how that came up automatically here. So y'all watching me go live here. Here we go. So this one, I think this is kind of like what I had. So here's an image. And if it's in a JPEG, you're just, or a PDF, you're going to go ahead and convert it. But so let's find, here's one right here. It's a thinking. All right. So there it is. Okay. I can save this as an image. So I'm going to say save image as Shakespeare. All right. I'll just say Shakes. I'm going to put it on my desktop so I can find it. I'm going to go back to my document here. And I want to make this the interactive so someone doesn't make this up. So the kids don't mess it up. I'm going to say change background, choose image. I'm going to upload it. And we called it Shake and it's living on the desktop here. So let's go to desktop. And there it is. I'm going to upload it. And it's going to fill the entire space of this. So now it's a template, right? So now what I can do is great question. Does it lose resolution going to JPEG? Sue, great question. Actually, when you go to convert, just say do it at highest quality possible when you go to convert, and it does a pretty good job. Because right now, if I go to 100%, and I appreciate that question, if I go to zoom to 100%, that one doesn't look great because I copied it as a thumbnail, but let's look at the first one that I did the other day because I did that one on the fly. Look at that. It's perfectly clear. Okay, great question. So notice then what did I do? I added in boxes. So I put the boxes where I wanted students to be able to fill out. I did the boxes in red so that they would stand out, but now this is a text box. So as a student, when I have to fill this out, I'm going to type in my word choice. Okay. So that means this right here, they can't mess this up. They could technically move these boxes around, but you can see that there's a line that they should be filling in. But now this has become an interactive activity. Okay. So I would suggest using the color boxes so that it stands out, and you could change the color. I just did red throughout, but this allows them, and look, there's even their word bank right here. And what you would do is you have one of two options. You could share out one copy of this and every kid claims a slide, and then you check one slide deck. Or you could say, make a copy for each student, and then the student would actually fill it out individually and then submit it. Okay. All right. I see Karen says game changer. And this is a great way to make an interactive activity. All I did was upload that image to the background. That means kids can't change it. They can't move it. And that's the other way. If you're designing an activity and you realize you don't want them to move certain aspects, download it as a JPEG, upload it again, and then that's going to serve as your background. Okay. All right. How are we feeling so far? We got a couple of good ideas. That was 7. We got a couple more. All right. So next up, this is another one that I think I came up with this for a lot of the PDs that I was doing with teachers, is I wanted to have a back channel. And there's, obviously there's different ways that you can have a back channel, like back channel chat, today's meet, things like that. But if you want it to be something that's ongoing inside your Google Classroom that you can go back to, how about using Google Slides? So this one is my questions one, and you can have one that's comments, and you just would have this as a dedicated link inside of your Google Classroom, and kids can add their questions there. There is a question feature and comment feature in Google Classroom, but those are attached to different assignments, and you have to go and find them. This would allow you to go back and have everybody's questions in one place, everyone's comments in one place. So I think the back channel is a really cool way to engage your learners and have a kind of like a parking lot. I love it. Kimberly says, never thought about changing the color of the boxes. That right there, that's a game changer, because the kids see that's where they need to fill it out. And if you've got younger students, you could have each of the boxes have a different color, just so it's more visually interesting for younger learners. Glad you like that tip. Awesome. So the back channel definitely would be a great tool to have that. And you can keep adding to your slide deck, and it lives in your Google Classroom with a dedicated link. So a back channel is another way to use Google Slides for your students. All right, next up. Now, this is when you get leveled up right here with using one of my favorite ways to use slides, and that's to create stop motion projects. So how many of you guys have done stop motion with Google Slides? I got to do a project this year with, at the end of this last school year, was 6th grade science, and that was their end of the year project on renewable and non-renewable energy. And this was my example, just showing them, and we were building it as we were going through it. And so Google Slides is, like I said, Swiss Army knife utility tool. You can go in and you can say, all right, create each slide, one slide at a time, and it changes just incrementally. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to we're going to go back to did my slide finally load? It's still thinking. I'm going to come back to that. I believe you're going to load for me. All right. So we're going to do a new slides. Remember, slides.new, that's the magic button. See, Greg says, I love Google Slides for stop frame animation. We did the water cycle for 4th graders. So that tells me right there, your 4th graders are able to do it because it's super easy. Fantastic, Greg. That's awesome. All right. So I've got this. Remember, I got to put my name here so it doesn't go anywhere. We're going to say this is our little stop motion demo. Stop motion demo. All right. I can do themes if I want, change it if I want, or I can start here with just a basic little background. And I'm just going to do a real quick one. This is going to be like super quick. And of course, if I'm going to do it, it needs to have a Genmoji in it. So let's go ahead and grab Genmoji. Is hanging out here somewhere. Too many extensions and not enough time. There we go. Bitmoji. All right. She's hiding from me today. Apparently I'm on internet timeout today, apparently. All right, we're gonna do this one more time. And Bitmoji. All right, so I'm just gonna grab my little, we're gonna do dance, because who doesn't want to dance? Okay, so I'm gonna grab this one right here. And I'm gonna put it right here in the corner. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this. Control D, and I'm going to take this one on the second slide. I'm just going to move it like 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll do it a couple more times. Now, as you can see, different elements. It's very easy to do. Your students would just create something and just change a few elements on it. And we're going to do this a few more times. All right, now I'm getting real jet. We're going to get across the screen there pretty quick. And now, because I've moved it a few times, as you'll notice, just by me clicking through this, you're going to see the subtle movement. It looks like I'm dancing across the screen. What do you think? So what's really cool is that your students can do that. So if they're explaining concepts, so when they were doing the renewable energy, they had the water flowing, they had the solar panel, they had the radiation from the sun. So you can add in any element. And what's cool is you can have them bring in, they can bring in content that they find. Maybe you're in discovery education and you found images that you want to use. They can bring in those. They can use fair use, make sure that it's fair use images on Google, or they can create their own, which is really, really cool. I see right here. Cool. That's pretty neat, right? Super easy to do. So you might be wondering like, well, so how do I go and make this play automatically like a stop motion animation? So what I can do here is I can go to File, Publish to the Web. And this is an extra step to show your students. And I want it to move every second. All right. And I'm going to click Publish. I'm going to grab this link right here. I'm going to copy it. And this is kind of magical. And I have a friend of mine show me this. So at the end, it says 1,000. If I make that a lower number, it's going to move quicker than that. So I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to paste it right here. Before I hit play, I'm going to change it from 1,000 to 500. And when I do 500, that's going to be half of a second. And I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to hit play. Once it loads. And there we go. My stop motion animation, Genmoji is dancing. Karen says, wow, that was way simpler than I thought. I know. Isn't that magical? So many possibilities of ways that you can have your students create content, not just consume it, but create it. If you gave them a task and they had to, we were working on it for the Science for Renewable Energy. But imagine if you're doing storytelling and you let them bring in characters and have them recreate scenes. So many different options you could use. Okay. So that would be stop motion, which is magical number 9. And number 10, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the ability to use it to create class headers and logos. I use it for all of my Google Classroom logos because I can keep adding them in one place. I can go back and like duplicate and make changes. So this is more of a teacher thing, but it's a benefit for your students because it makes your classrooms and logos more interesting. But also you could share out a template and let the kids design the Google Classroom header. That way you can change it out and make your class, they'll feel like they have that ownership when they get to create that header. So I definitely use it. I do it for logos, for Twitter and YouTube and all of that because you can do custom size. And I think it's a really powerful way to create. So those are my 10 ideas. 10 ideas. Not bad, right? 10 ideas. And I'd be remiss though if I was talking about slides and I did not point out your bonus that you can turn your Google Slides lessons into interactive lessons and assessments by using either the plugin from Pear Deck, which is magical, or you can use Nearpod. Nearpod has the ability now that you can start with a Google Slide Deck and then you can bring in the Nearpod interactive element. So that's a bonus. You can use Pear Deck or Nearpod to make them interactive. The goal of these sessions is to kind of make them more bite-sized because I had longer PDs during the summer, but my goal was to kind of do like a 30-minute slam on these different tools. So hopefully you got a good tip or two based on this and that you're kind of excited. Drop any questions or comments that you have in the chat. If you think that this was beneficial, I'd love to know. I'm so excited. This was the first of my new Jen's 10 Ideas series. I'll be doing this every day at 2 p.m. Tomorrow, I'm going to be giving you 10 ideas for Google Drawings, and I'll be doing a couple different sessions the rest of this week and next week as well. So I'd love for you to tune in and check that out. Hopefully you found this session beneficial. And if you did, please do me a favor and check out resources at Tech Tips 411. In addition to that, you can go ahead and sign up for my weekly tech tips. All of the links will be in the description. If you're at one of my schools, you're already getting it. But if you'd like to check it out, please do so. And please go ahead and subscribe to YouTube if you are interested. Tune in for that. And hit that subscribe and hit the notification bell so it will let you know what PDs are coming up. So guys, thank you so very much for your time. Thank you so much. Karen says, I appreciate things. I'm looking forward to more. Awesome. I'm glad you found it. I know it was a little bite size, but I just wanted to have a little bit of a taster of, so the 10 Ideas series, stay tuned for future sessions as well. Thank you guys so very much.